Maybe. Hey, all right.
All right.
We did it.
Wow. Look at us.
Look at us.
Who would have thought?
The picture of professionalism. And it's almost like we know what we're doing at this point. Welcome to Talking Heads, everyone. Episode 383, live from Taipei. Amazingly enough, we're live at the same time we always are, 6 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday. However, that sun's a little bright right now. It is 9 in the morning on Thursday.
We're beaming to you from the future.
That's right. I feel so Australian right now. Welcome to the show, everyone. Thank you all so much for joining on this Wednesday night or in podcast form over on Spotify or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. If you've never seen the show before, we talk beer, we talk tech, we talk games, pop culture, entertainment, sometimes some Star Trek. All super chats are read on the air so long as they will not permanently demonetize the channel. We do drink alcohol on the show, and if you're drinking along with us, alcoholic or not, let us know in the chat, and we'll give some early show shoutouts as we go along. Last but not least, if you'd like to take part in the super secret chat and the even more super secret after party, think about joining the Patreon. Link is down in the video description. As a bonus, you'll get exclusive access to my Discord server, where you can chat with myself, John, Rett, Steve, all the hosts from Talking Heads, and join the awesome community that hangs out over there.
Well done.
It's a show. I just want you to prove for the audience, I do that live, no script.
Yeah, there's nothing there. Yeah.
That is a memorized thing that I do every single week.
It's got to be muscle memory at this point.
It really is. Yeah. Unless you throw a wrench into it. If I have to change one word, so help me God.
Right. Yeah. and it's easy to let you rip in person, but I feel like sometimes in the remote shows, you get that little latency, that delay, and somebody tries to make a joke or pipe up.
Yeah.
Crashes the whole thing.
Exactly. You threw off my groove.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you've thrown off the Emperor's groove. The windows do open here. We could throw you out.
I'd like to not be thrown out.
Yeah. Oh, it's going to be a good show. Gear Seekers, you are Australian. Thank you, Nick. You've been hanging out with me enough. Yeah, Nick and Claire from Gear Seekers. We've been hanging out with them almost every single night this week. That's been a heck of a lot of fun. Man, this is my first Computex, first time to Taipei. Your first time to Taipei as well, right? Yeah. Yep. Man, it has been so much fun. Nix is currently in an Uber and probably annoying the driver. Yeah, you're that guy who's listening to his music at full blast, except it's Jeff in a random hotel room, which is strangely enough even weirder. Having an absolute blast. Obviously, the tech part of these shows and events is always a lot of fun, but man, there are people who I only ever get to see maybe once a year, once every couple of years, that we just get to hang out like old friends, and that is really why I enjoy coming to a lot of these events. So we spent the last couple of days hanging out with Paul from Paul's Hardware, Adam from PC World, Nick and Claire from Gear Seekers. We ran into Bitwit Kyle a couple of times, Mark from Scattervault, Pedro PCMR. Who else have we ran into this week? Jordan, formerly Storage Review, Chips and Cheese, obviously the whole crew from Chips and Cheese. And tonight it's going to get even crazier. We're doing a thing with Ian, Wendell, and Luke from LTT. Oh, Luke from LTT we had dinner with as well last night.
Yeah.
But tonight we're doing a thing with Ian and Wendell. So yeah, Wendell and I and Luke will finally be on camera together on purpose, not just like randomly in B-roll shots of each other's videos. So yeah, it is incredibly fun being over here.
And vindication for years of like memeing on my Morrowind. Luke's favorite game of all time as well is Morrowind. So a little bit of vindication is due to me. I'll go ahead and accept apologies from chat. For years of making fun of me.
Oh man,
I know it was always in good spirits, though.
That's right. Yeah. It's going to be a good show. We're going to talk about some of the cool things that we've seen from Computex. I obviously am not going to cover it all. When we do these live shows from the events, I like to find like one thing from a vendor that I really enjoyed and talk about that. Like I've talked about this a number of times. I don't like just repeating the press release, because if you've seen anyone's coverage from any of the booths and whatnot, a lot of it is like we're getting all the same information all at the same time, and that's all we end up repeating, and that's great. And a lot of people are really skilled in delivering that kind of thing. I don't like reading just the press release, and so for me, I like to maybe focus in on one or two products and say why I think these in particular are important and might be overlooked in like the general scheme of things. Let's see. We've got Jensen Huang news. We've got NVIDIA controlling reviews of the RTX 5060. That has been a hot button topic over the last couple of days, and I definitely have some thoughts on that. Let's see. ASUS announced a 3,000 watt ATX power supply. Minisforum. I don't have any footage or any clips of this, but they showed off the MSR1, a new mini workstation in the ilk of the MS-A1 and the MS-01. We'll talk about that a little bit. Everything retro is new again. Silverstone introduces a new beige tower with three 5.25 inch drive bays on it. And more, as we'll bring up as we go along. But let's see. Oh, we need to officially start the show.
Oh, indeed we do.
I have some Taiwanese beer. These are both from a brewery literally about 3 blocks away, called Flow Brewing. And this was recommended a couple of times, actually, by some comments that I've seen in a couple of my posts, and also Adam from PC World managed to track this down as well. And so it's like, well, if like 3 or 4 people are screaming, "You got to go here," you got to go there.
Yeah.
So we went there last night. Rett checked it out, went home early, or actually, no, we got back, and 5 minutes after we got back,
yeah,
I got a text from Adam and said, "Hey, we're having drinks. You want to come join?" And I went, okay. Yeah, so Flow Brewing. This dude named Joe runs this, and he's from the States originally, and wound up in Taipei because he wanted to learn Chinese. And he goes, "I wound up in Taipei, I learned Chinese, and then I went to university here, and I just kind of stayed here." And he goes, "I loved a lot of the American craft brew culture that was happening, in the early 2000s. And he goes, I wanted to bring a little bit of that culture here." And so he started a brewery, and he's been doing that ever since. And there's a beer here you are going to find immediately familiar, I will say.
Oh.
So we've got 2 brews here. We've got the Flow Brewing Drift Hazy Double IPA, 8.5%. So this one is brewed with a huge amount of nectaron to produce a soft smoothie double IPA with intense notes of apricot jam, sweet citrus, and tropical fruit. So kind of his take on a tropical juice bomb hazy. This one is the Flow Brewing Sunset Double Red IPA. There's a red IPA that we know and love from local brewery Ninkasi to us called Dawn of the Red. And as soon as Joe was explaining this beer to me, I said, "You know Ninkasi, right?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, no, Dawn of the Red was a direct inspiration for that." And I'm like, holy crap, I'm from Eugene, dude. Like that's super cool. Yeah, Sunset Double Red IPA, 8.5%. It's not the 6.5 that Dawn of the Red is, so it's a little bit bit hotter. But a red ale brewed with Northwest hops. I think he said Citro and Mosaic were in this one.
Oh, okay, so nice.
Very familiar,
yeah,
but very different also. Which one do you want to start with?
Well, whichever one you want to open first. You surprise me.
So we will do the hazy.
Okay.
I had a pint of the red last night. It is wonderful. But we'll start with the hazy here. And you see anyone doing beer in chat?
Oh,
Feel free to give a shout out.
Yeah, Rev cracking into a 2022 Goose Island Bourbon County BA Stout.
Ooh,
12.3%.
Hell yeah.
We got Coffee and Cynicism drinking a Hoppin' Frog Extra Quadruple Belgian Style Dark Ale at 10%. We got Jason Budney drinking a Fort George Vortex, an old Oregon staple.
Heck yes. Shout out Astoria.
And that's all I see right now.
Yeah.
Unless there's someone I'm missing.
All right.
Feel free to yell at me. Oh, we got Bee's Knees enjoying a Rebellion Red Lager by Yellowhammer Brewing, 5.4%.
Very cool.
Yeah. And BC Kamen doing a dry week, so simple soda tonight.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that. Yeah. Michael's got tequila on the menu.
Oh, you are going to like that.
Nice and dry, but fruity. Like it.
Yeah, very sharp citrus is how I would describe that one. Like dry, but very sweet at the same time. Like they managed to hit both.
I mean, it really has like that consistency, that body dryness of like of champagne.
Yeah.
With like it kind of tastes like a mimosa.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm getting a little bit of orange, maybe a little passion fruit kind of flavor to it.
Yeah. And there's quite a bit of bitterness in there to offset it too, because I don't really get a lot of sweet, honestly. You can tell it's there, but it's really offset by the hoppy bitterness.
I took a really small drink at first, and it was super sweet. I took a bigger drink, and it's very bitter.
Yeah.
So
I like it. It's good.
That is solid. Well done, Joe. Yeah.
Flow Brewing.
Definitely going back there. Might have to get a couple more brews on Friday.
There you go.
Yeah. I would say tomorrow night, as in Thursday, but today is Thursday. That feels weird still.
Indeed it is.
How you doing on jet lag?
I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I struggled a little bit when we landed here, and I think it was a combination of factors. And first night managed to do okay. Second night I really struggled.
Yeah.
But I feel back on track. So
good.
Feel pretty good today.
Yeah.
Yesterday went really well. So yeah, I feel like I'm on Taiwanese time now.
Nice.
It'll be fun going home and getting back on regular.
Yeah, I'm feeling great right now. Like I had no adjustment period. I got about 6 or 7 hours of sleep on the flight over. We landed at 5 in the morning. The food cart came by, and I didn't budge. The second time.
Like I pride myself on being able to sleep pretty much anywhere, anytime. Jeff has really put me to shame on this trip. He gets in the plane, and he's really tall, right? And he just sits there. He crosses his arm, puts his head down, and he's out for 7 hours straight. Didn't even budge.
Yep. I've learned how to sleep on planes. It's something I used to never be able to do.
Yeah.
But I think it was because my arms would fall to the side, and I got long, lanky arms, and that's a lot of weight to be pulling, and people bumping into you and things like that. I eventually found if I just cross my arms, or I'll lock my fingers and I'll put them right between my lap right here, and that holds my arm in place. And
the crossing, that's my trick too.
Yeah. If I'm able to do that, I don't even need a neck pillow. I just kind of nod my head like that, and I don't wake up stiff. I don't wake up groggy or anything. But we caught a plane in Seattle at 1:50 in the morning, and I did sleep for the first 2 hours, and then I woke up for the food cart when they gave us kind of our breakfast meal. And I ate that real quick. I was maybe awake for 30 or 40 minutes, and then I fell back asleep for another 4 hours. And so it wasn't quite the 7 hours straight.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, no, we got into Taipei. I felt great the rest of the day. I went to bed at 10 o'clock that night, woke up at 6 in the morning. Let's do this. Like, instant adjustment. Going back is going to be the trick, I think, because that's a 15-hour time change.
Yeah, I typically find that going back home is always the hardest part of jet lag. You know, and this time I struggled a little bit coming, but normally I don't. So,
yeah, time. We'll pull a meg out of it. That should still be good. So does Taipei just not have functional internet as the entire city? No, they don't have citywide Wi-Fi. Hello, dropped frames, my old friend. A little buffering. Okay, yeah. I was trying to do 4.5 megs. The hotel has about 25 up, which has been pretty solid for us. Nick was actually getting closer to like 70 up. So hopefully we'll do 3.5 and we'll smooth it all out. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Starlink a thing there? I think you can get Starlink here. And technically I have a dish. I unsubscribed from Starlink over 6 months ago. I used to have Starlink as a backup internet for my house, and it worked quite well, but it's a company I no longer want to support. And so I'll take downtime over giving them $150 a month.
Right.
So. Which is sad because their new mobile dish is like this big and it's USB-C powered. And so you can literally like plug it into a laptop and get internet anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. LOL politics. Look, you really can't avoid politic talk these days. You know, like, we're going to have our first story is Jensen Huang news. Let's go ahead and start it off here.
Can't even buy electronics without bumping into the cause and effect of politics.
Right. So NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang says U.S. chip controls on China have backfired. And I tend to agree with this statement. In fact, I kind of called it coming about a year ago. When embargoes on AI chips started going into place and then NVIDIA started producing lower end chips or lower binned chips for the Chinese market. Chipmaker's top executive said the attempt to cut off the flow of advanced AI chips has spurred Chinese companies to accelerate their own internal development. You know, when a country is the primary manufacturer of your AI chips as far as the lithography goes, they probably have some expertise in designing chips themselves. Like, there's no shortage of companies in China who have the expertise to develop high-end silicon. And the only reason they hadn't before is because they didn't need to before, because NVIDIA was already and AMD and Intel were already producing, you know, and designing top-end silicon. If they won't sell to you anymore, well, hell, we've got some really smart engineers over here. I guess we'll do it ourselves. So it would be a different thing if, like, say this was Intel and there was an embargo from Intel selling US manufactured chips to China when China didn't have a compatible or a comparable fab. Then an embargo would make a lot of sense because China would not only have to spin up the development side of chip making, but they'd also have to spin up a chip maker of their own.
Yeah. They
already had 50% of that equation.
Yeah.
And the other half, they already had the expertise in, they just hadn't done the application yet.
Right.
So, yeah, speaking of politics, like, let's dive 2 feet into it. Why don't we? Yeah. If only we could have seen this coming. Yeah. But no, like I said, he's definitely got some points there. And we are in the strangest of times. I want off the post 2019 crazy ride. Like, man, if we could just go back. Remember how naive we were in 2019?
Mm-hmm.
Remember how everything just kind of worked?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even during the administration's first go round in you know, in the midst of it in 2019, there was some messed up things, but we weren't trying to spur World War III.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you expect? You got the final evolution of this Pokemon, and he finally unlocked his special moves.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yep. We won't get much more political than that. So
speak for yourself. No.
A lot of people know where I stand. I don't exactly hide my feelings. But yeah, like I said, we can't even talk tech anymore without talking the politics and the implications of current policies, whether it's tariffs, whether it's embargoes, whether it's whatever. So we try to keep as political free as possible. You know, we obviously have our leanings, but try not to make it a front and center showpiece of this show and this channel, but can't exactly do that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some fun stuff. Let's talk about, what do we want to do first? Let's jump over to ASUS. That'll be fun.
Good old ASUS.
Yeah. So ASUS has introduced, oh, wow, piss off notifications. Cool. ASUS has announced for essentially AI workstation PCs a 3,000 watt ATX compatible power supply. Look at this thing. Obviously, it's meant for workstation PCs, but the selling point of this thing is you can run 4 RTX 5090s at 600 watts each. This power supply has 4 12 plus 4 pin 600 watt rated outputs. And they're rated to be able to support 2,400 watts of output through those GPU ports. And that still leaves you 600-ish watts for the rest of your system. So if you're doing AI rendering or AI inference or even AI training, and you've got 4 RTX 5090s in your rig, or Blackwell 6000s, then you've still got 600 watts for other things. And a lot of times, a lot of AI workloads these days aren't necessarily CPU bound. They're 100% GPU bound. So put whatever CPU you want in your rig, run it at 200 watts. You're golden for the rest of it. And you're probably right in the efficiency curve of this power supply too, running at 26 or 2,700 watts. Absolutely insane. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are already asking, but Jeff, will this run on 120 volts? Great question. I don't think so. I don't think it's possible to get the full 3,000 watts out of this power supply on 120 volts, simply because most people are running 15 or 20 amp circuits at home. Those are 1,800 watts peak.
Right.
So you're still going to have to figure something else out, or run a pair of these in a workstation on 2 separate circuits. So US 15 amp, 120 volt can handle 1,800 watts. Yeah, that's what I thought. So you need 25 to 30 amps at 120 volts to ensure you don't overload the circuit breaker. You can get a 30 amp plug at 120, and maybe that'll work. And then you can use 15 to 20 amp with 240 volt to get the full 3,000 out of it. But yeah, holy crap, that's a lot of power. That's a lot of power. Did we miss a super chat earlier? We did. Green sends over $5. Top 5 things I would steal from the expo if I didn't get caught, or samples I would like to get sent to me. That's a good question.
Yeah, well, I know that there's one that you asked about, and they're like, yeah, we're not allowed to talk about that.
Yeah. I got hands on the Maxon fabled, rumored, dual A60 Intel card. In fact, I posted Twitters to Bluesky and to the Patreon earlier this week. I actually beat a couple people to the punch at finding it on the show floor. Maxon unveiled their dual GPU A60, which is the same GPU die, the B21 as the Intel B580. However, each of the GPU dies has 24 gigabytes of VRAM on it, so 48 gigs combined for the card. Plus, if you put 4 of those into a system, that's a hell of a lot of memory. It's 196 gigabytes of video memory across 4 cards. There's not many better values out there as far as AI performance, AI tops than you're going to get, or even being able to fit all of that into a single system than that. Strix Halo is about the only other thing that you could look at. AMD's APU system with 128 gigs. The price point, you're about the same. It's going to be about $2,000 for either of those configurations.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, top one that I want to get a hold of, simply because I'm a dual GPU junkie, is absolutely the Maxon A60. So I did ask about getting a sample, and they went, Intel said no.
It's forbidden.
It is forbidden. They're avoiding social media seeding right now, simply because the state of the drivers is designed for AI, not for any other workstation tasks, and I totally kind of get that. You don't want people showing off the card in ways that it wasn't designed to handle properly, with drivers that may be subpar for certain applications. And then calling the card crap because it couldn't game properly. So, and trust me, we'll talk more about manufacturers controlling reviews here shortly. So yeah, top one is the Maxon A60. I have to have one of those. Number 2, Minisforum. Minisforum has a couple really cool boxes coming out. They introduced a box that is very, very much designed after a PS5.
Yeah.
It's basically the same shape and size in a tower format, with like the 2 rounded white sides that kind of come to a point.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of like a rounded triangle shape, but still very narrow. It runs an 8845HX, so 8-core Zen 4 Ryzen Mobile, and supports a full dual slot, half height, low profile PCI Express card, which they are pairing with an RTX 5060.
Nice.
So Minisforum is getting into the small form factor gaming market. Holy crap. That is a really cool system. Like if you're looking for a LAN rig or just a small, self-contained unit, if you're looking for a media center / gaming PC for your living room and you want it to fit in with everything else, like what's more fitting in than a PS5 clone that's actually an x86 PC?
Right. And very few vendors exhibited their product to us with as much enthusiasm as Miniforums did.
Yeah.
Like they were legitimately excited.
I love my rep over at Minisforum. She's absolutely adorable on even in email communication. She is so jazzed to talk about anything, and she was so super excited to introduce all the products to me. It was really, really, really cool to. Her enthusiasm is so infectious.
Like each product that she was showing off, it may as well have been like the most groundbreaking thing that they'd ever put out. Like,
and to be fair,
she was pitching it.
And to be fair, they introduced some really cool things. I think most of them they were all on the show floor, so I think I can talk about them all. They have a 5-bay NAS that's coming out, in which they actually have their own web-based software for management on it. That they're kind of basing around Synology or Casa OS, if people have seen those interfaces. You open it in a web browser, but it looks like a desktop. It lands you on like a desktop, and you manage everything via a visual GUI. But Minisforum is not going the standard Casa OS route and going, yeah, we support Btrfs and only things that we approve to run in for applications can run on this. They went, you want to run Dockers? You want to run virtual machines? You want to run ZFS? Click here, 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 and it's done. They had a GUI already written for managing and maintaining ZFS snapshots. And in fact, she was super jazzed to show me all of that. And I went, that is so freaking cool, because ZFS is only part of the equation if you're looking for like a very stable file system. You also want to be able to recover files or look back in time, or what if I get crypto locked or whatever else. So yeah, Minisforum is coming out with a full NAS OS system that is a visual web-based GUI with all of the features already baked in that you could possibly want. And it looked really, really impressive.
Real quick, my kiddo's watching, so I wanted to wave to him and say, hi, buddy.
Hey, dude.
Listen to mom.
Be good. In fact, the sun came out just a little bit. Our camera's a little overexposed, so I'm gonna.
Oh, well, look at you.
I'm gonna tweak that just a little bit.
Mr. Director of Photography over here.
There we go. That's better. Had to drop that a full stop, but hey, look at that. We actually have contrast again. Sweet. What else did Minisforum show off? Oh, the MSA1, their Zen 5 based mini workstation that didn't have a PCI Express slot and only had 2.5 gigabit Ethernet. They're still doing the the AM5 based mini, but they have upgraded it to include dual 10 gigabit RJ45. So that was really cool to see. They also showed off the MS R1, which is a 10-core ARM-based mini workstation in the same form factor as the MS01 and the MSA2, which is their Intel and AMD mobile platforms. Also included an X8 PCI Express slot. Also included dual 10 gigabit RJ45. Yeah, super, super interesting. And
they had a good booth.
Yeah.
It was a fun visit.
Yeah. They also showed off, they are, I believe, now manufacturing an NVIDIA graphics card to go into the MSO1 and the MSA2. And it is the NVIDIA RTX 2000 Ada, but a 50-watt variant of it in a single slot, half height, low profile card. And so there's been a lot of speculation about like what graphics card would work best in one of these mini workstations. And Minisforum said, screw it, we can't find one that we like. Like, yeah, you could throw an A310 in there or maybe an RX 6400. You know what? We need more than that, and we need actual AI processing ability and you know, actual high performance graphics. Let's put a 2000 Ada into it. And so they did. And so now you can buy a 2000 Ada and drop it into one of your workstations. You know all that work that I went through to put the RTX 4000 Ampere into mine, the small form factor card? Yeah, they're doing that with the 2000 Ada. So, yeah.
All you need is the manufacturing capabilities, Jeff.
That's right. That's right. What about you? What did you see that like want to have it?
Oh man, I don't know. You know, I think like part of, you know, they were talking about at dinner last night about how this show is a little bit more boring than previous years, and I think it's because you walk around and you see all these gigantic exhibitions, but then like everything's like locked up behind server racks and things like this. Like, you know, I don't think that there's like a lot necessarily for just like consumer level stuff this year. I mean, maybe as much as like previous years. You know, I think I had fun at like the Thermal Take exhibit, you know, especially not necessarily any of their offerings, but just like they had a big exhibit with a lot of different things going on, including some cool case mods. Zotac kind of stood out for that, even though we didn't really stop in too long at Zotac.
Yeah. Zotac did introduce, they showed off their updated Zotac Zone, which is their 7-inch OLED handheld gaming PC. Now has the HX370 that they introduced at Computex, but also running a custom version of Manjaro Linux. And so they're getting onto the Linux gaming buzz. Not running the Arch version of SteamOS, but also not running the Fedora version of Bazzite. So a Manjaro-based custom Linux distro, which was interesting. Interesting to see a company actually like diving in with 2 feet to a Linux environment.
Interesting. Yeah, and otherwise, like I almost kind of thought it was more fun walking the exhibit floors where, you know, it was all like the commercial kind of product stuff. You know what I'm talking about? Like, God, I'm trying to think of some examples of some of the stuff. It was just fun seeing like, oh, that'll never be for us, but
yeah,
you know, I don't like everything in like Hall 2 is kind of that way on like some of the floor. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know, because it's just like random stuff that really has no bearing on what we're doing.
Random suppliers for switches and vibration motors and things like that for like microelectronics.
Yeah. And you just go through and it's like it's interesting seeing the wide array of stuff, and especially like once you get into like they just like pile all the like Chinese and Taiwanese like manufacturers like in a big corner, and so you're going through and you're looking at just this huge variety of stuff that's I don't know. Yeah, it was an interesting show. I'm not trying to imply that it was boring at all, but like, you know, we talked about Gigabyte, for example. Like Gigabyte has this ginormous exhibit on the main showroom floor, but it's all roped off and you're looking in there and it's like, what are they doing in there?
Yeah.
It's just like rows of server racks and they're showing off their, you know, all their new AI work stuff. Which, you know, I guess is kind of exciting, but it's not as exciting as, you know, like walking through Zotac and they've got everything up on a pedestal,
right?
You know, trying to show you off the best of the best. You know, and Corsair, that was an interesting exhibit too, going through and seeing some of their new stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, Corsair had a couple new cases to demo off. One of them is a super high-end enthusiast. It was the 4400 D4000, not the D4000, but it's a successor to the D4000 kind of. It's using similar internals, but what they did is they basically sectioned off each of the cooling zones. So every component is getting cold air, and the hot exhaust is being channeled out of the system before it affects any other component. And your power supply is in its own environment. Your AIO radiator for your CPU is actually external to the case, kind of. It's mounted to the front of the case, but
yeah, there's like a dead zone in there.
No, there's a duct that takes the exhaust and blows it out the side, where it's a completely separate chamber. And then since a lot of the graphics cards have gone to blow-through designs where it's sucking bottom to top, that's actually your most important airflow in your case anymore. They actually designed a baffle to accelerate the air and increase the pressure to blow into your graphics card, and help accelerate that out of the system. So you've got 3 separate, distinct environmental chambers, all of which draw completely cold air from your environment in. And they said the performance numbers have been absolutely nuts on that. And I can't actually wait to see results on that, because there's been a lot of talk, like airflow is always a hot button topic with some reviewers and some case manufacturers. And I like defending. Sometimes you buy things for the aesthetics, not necessarily for the performance. Like who has not gone to Best Buy or Fry's or Micro Center or whatnot and gone, look, I know this graphics card performs 3% better, but I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And gone over and like, that one matches the look of my case, or it's the right color, or it's the right size, or the right design. Performance isn't everything. But that's not to say performance isn't important. And man, if you can get a case that is specifically designed to push air as hard as possible and as quietly as possible through all of your components with fresh air, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
And then Corsair also showed off their second generation of DIY keyboards.
Yeah.
This was really exciting. As someone who has dabbled into the
DIY keyboard
potential meth-filled minefield.
Yeah, there you go.
Of DIY keyboards, and built myself one full custom from the ground up board that I designed and put together myself and whatnot. I understand how addicting that hobby is, and so I stopped. I just went culture. I'm not building another keyboard. I don't need 30 keyboards, and I would build 30 keyboards.
Right.
Like I know me, and I know my personality, and so that's why I built one keyboard, and I went, no, not again.
Yeah.
Even I can't afford it.
Yeah, they kind of introduced their. It's kind of like DIY light in a way, because it's like it's all there, but you kind of get to pick your keys, your keycaps, kind of from like a plethora of like, options that they offer.
There's multiple case materials. Right now they're only offering one layout, which is a 75% layout, which is actually the layout I prefer anymore. I used to be all about I have to have a 10 key. I have since learned, especially because I've been driving laptops for a lot of tasks, especially on the road. I have fully adjusted from only being able to use 10 key to like I'm just as fast on a 1 through 10 row as I am on a 10 key anymore. But 75% keyboard. You can buy it all bare components, or you can buy it fully assembled. You can buy it with switches, without switches, with keycaps, without keycaps. You can get it with designs, without designs. You can choose your case material. And this is kind of their first go round with this kind of thing. And like I said, right now they're only offering the one form factor. But if this is popular, there's no reason in the world they can't start offering more form factors, more choices. Maybe a 60% and an 85% and a 100% and a 101.
Right. And from now on, they were very clear that the number scheming in their product lineup is going to line up with the size of the keyboard. Yeah. So this was what, the Maker 75, I think they call it.
Yeah, it was the Maker 75 or the DIY 75 or Maker 75 keyboard, something like that. But for years, Corsair was developing keyboards like the K70 and the K80 and the K68 and the K62 and things like that. And they named the keyboards, but then they had the K62 TKL and the K62 80 and the K62 100%. And they're like, shouldn't the number just reflect the size of the keyboard rather than the series of the keyboard?
Boom.
And so they're changing the name to reflect the series and the number to reflect the size, which I think is absolutely the right move.
Yeah. Simplifies things.
Yeah. So obviously the K8, he said the K80 will likely still retain its name because that's a name that has 15 years of history behind it.
I think it's just going forward.
But going forward, all of their new keyboards will start adopting this new naming scheme where the number is the physical layout of your board.
Yeah.
Which I like.
Yeah.
Brandon sends over $5. Thank you so much, Brandon. Much appreciated. What do you think about the new claw switching to AMD? Kind of surprised since the Intel 258V models are good, sold out, and getting scalped on eBay. It could be for a number of different reasons. Love it or hate it, a lot of the gaming handhelds are kind of settling in for AMD because AMD's gaming has the most driver support within both the Windows and the Linux environment when it comes to handhelds. The software is very mature at this point. And while the 258V was going blow for blow, there are still gotchas with some titles, some games, some idiosyncrasies with some things. That kind of fell off. It's like when the 258 is good, it's really, really good. And tit for tat, efficiency wise, it was right there with the Ryzen as well at 20 to 30 watts. But it could have come down to a supply issue. Is Intel making enough 258s to make that product viable into the future? Is because Intel's not exactly the healthiest of financial companies right now. Certainly as far as product stack and production goes either. So yeah. I'm not surprised that MSI is also going with AMD. I mean, AMD is tried and true in the gaming space already. I was a little surprised when they came out with first they came out with the 185 and then the 258, or 285, they've been good, but the 185 was definitely a step below what AMD was producing for basically the exact same price. So yeah. I don't look too much more into it than that. I assume this was a business decision and basically nothing else. So,
they're surprised to see you using a MacBook.
Yeah, I've always driven MacBooks. 2020, I bought an M1 MacBook. I have been bringing my my Win 2 Max or WinMax 2, excuse me. The 6800H GPD WinMax 2. I love that handheld. I love that laptop. It is great when I'm simply needing to type a couple emails or write up some notes and then be able to play games on a plane or something like that. That's primarily why I've been daily driving it for 2 years now. I think I got it in July of 23. So yeah, almost exactly 2 years I daily drove that thing. But for this trip, I was going to be doing a lot more video editing. I needed a bigger screen. I needed a full-size keyboard. I needed to be a little bit more efficient in that. And so I picked up an M4 MacBook Air. And I've said many, many times, the M1 MacBook Pro 13-inch that I bought in December of 2020 is the best laptop I've ever purchased. This one continues that. Holy crap, is this an incredible laptop. We are doing the entire stream with a single USB-C cable, and that's not even for power. That is actually powering my camera, which is a Sony a7 IV, and doing video input over USB-C on that. And I rendered a video down at breakfast before we started, and I rendered a second video before we left for breakfast. I'm at 72%. We've been streaming for an hour now.
Come on, battery, die.
This thing is insane. This laptop is absolutely insane. And man, did it cut through footage like butter. Rett was watching me edit on this one, and he's got a admittedly very nice Samsung laptop with a 9th Gen i5, I want to say. 9th or 10th, it's something like that.
I think I've got like an 11th Gen.
Yeah, might be Tiger Lake even. Yeah. So not all that outdated. And man, I was running circles. So yeah. I love the GPD WinMax. I saw that GPD was finally shipping the HX370 version of the WinMax 2.
11th Gen.
11th Gen. Okay, so Tiger Lake. Yeah. 1165 G7 is his.
And it does okay.
Does all right.
Be nice.
Oh, it does all right. This was better.
It was.
Yeah, I love the WinMax too. But the 6800H is starting to fall behind in some of the games that I wanted to play on the plane. And so it's like, I'd be a little bit limited with the entertainment value there. And so I brought my 1X player F1 Pro with the HX370. And man, did that thing dominate on the plane as well. That was absolutely great. And then the 6800H, while it's done streaming just fine, it's a bitch and a half to try to edit on that machine. It's just too small to do that.
Too compact, I bet.
Yeah, and so rather than trying to cram it all into one unit, I brought 2 units with me this time. That's crazy. Craft, did you use the MacBook last year for Talking Heads at Computex 2024? I wasn't at 2024. Actually, this is my first Computex, first time in Taipei. But I have used the WinMax 2 for all of my remote streaming for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I've done CES. I've done 2 trips to 45 drives in Nova Scotia. I've done... What else have I done? I did last year at AMD's Advancing AI event from the stage at Advancing AI, setting records with Jordan live on camera. That was on the WinMax 2. Absolutely fantastic laptop. Like, nothing against the performance of it, but for gaming, it was getting a little slow, and the size wise for productivity, I consider that more like a tablet, more like a consumption device rather than a productivity device. I needed a bigger productivity device.
Yeah, it's a good way of looking at it.
Yep. Yeah, maybe it was CES 2025 yet. Yeah, I did CES 2025 from the WinMax. I think I've only ever done 1 or 2 streams from the M1 MacBook Pro. Because most of my streams tend to have a remote user, and Apple has a really difficult time capturing an audio source from the MacBook to play it back through. So if we meet on a Zoom call, for example,
right,
Apple doesn't have a really clean method of capturing the audio coming out of Zoom and throwing it into OBS. Whereas Windows and Linux both support that easily. In fact, my CES stream, or no, it was the Advancing AI stream. That was done on Linux from the AMD event. Any recommendations for a 13 to 15 inch portable monitor? Innocon, INNOCN, has, I believe they still have their 13 inch OLED 1080p for $149 on Amazon. So yeah. Isn't that feature built into Linux? It is built into Linux. Mac OS is not Linux. It's also not BSD. It's kind of a weird bastardized hybrid of the two. And the security features disallow capturing audio sources for recording purposes. There are plugins that you can get, but they have like a 50-50 reliability in Mac OS. Yeah, so... But no, all my remote streaming over the last 2 years has been done on the WinMax 2. Yeah, Mac's not having the battery issues of Windows just gives them such an advantage for travel. That and just the raw speed where I need it. Like I said, this thing cut through video editing like freaking butter. Like, it's making me rethink my workstation at home, which is... What am I using at home right now? 7900X 3D with an RTX 4070 Super. Something like that. This was almost a better experience editing in DaVinci Resolve on my MacBook Air than on a 12-core 7900X 3D desktop with RTX graphics. Like, I might start using my Mac Mini for editing because I've been so impressed with it. Oh, what else do we have? We did Minisforum, we did ASUS. Oh, this is the other one from ASUS that I wanted to cover. ASUS introduced a new mini gaming PC, and they're taking a page out of my playbook. Using a Raptor Lake mobile CPU. So this is the ASUS Tough Gaming T500. And if I scroll down here, come on, show me the... There we go. There's the good shot. maybe. It's not a socketed desktop CPU. It is a desktop case. Come on. I hate these websites that are like, we'll slowly fade in the graphics as you're scrolling through.
Yeah, like just show us what.
Show me some damn pictures. There we go. This guy here. So it is a not quite ITX. It's a little bit bigger than ITX, but it is a proprietary motherboard. Dual M.2 slots. So there's one right there, and then there's a second one right here. Dual DDR5 SODIMM. A Raptor Lake 13620H mobile CPU, and an RTX 5060 Ti desktop GPU. This thing is freaking cool. Why did they use a mobile CPU? For the same reason that I've been using mobile CPUs in a lot of my gaming desktops over the last couple of years. Price to performance. This performs CPU-wise 85 to 90% as well as a desktop CPU would. But in gaming, that ends up being a 0 to maybe 5% difference. And you're cutting out all of the additional costs of a socketed motherboard and an additional power delivery and VRM and cooler solution. You know, your cooler is so much less expensive on a rig like this because you're only drawing 60 watts, maybe 100 watts under max boost. There's really a very negligible difference in almost every use case going with a mobile CPU versus a desktop CPU. As proven by one of the last desktops I built, which was my RTX 5090 ITX build that used the Minisforum 7945HX 16-core mobile CPU and showed only an 11% difference between that and a 9800X3D.
Wow.
Oh, and the motherboard and CPU combo was $399. It was $120 less than the CPU by itself.
Yeah.
I didn't have to buy a motherboard. I didn't have to buy a cooler. I didn't have to buy anything else. The memory was maybe 15% more expensive because it was SODIMM. Or no, it's desktop DIMMs on that one. Never mind. Desktop memory was identical. DDR5 desktop memory. 11% for $350 less for the platform. Yeah, kind of insane. And I love that ASUS is getting into this. Hey, Jeff Geerling.
Woohoo.
Hello. LOL, I hate when the website takes over the scroll. Yeah, and that's what it was doing too. I was trying to scroll down and it would like jump me to a spot, but then the momentum from Apple would jump it a little bit more. It's like, no, I wanted to stop there. Geerling, I don't know if you caught my my thing earlier. Minisforum wants to talk to you about an ARM-based mini workstation. So if you get an email from me introducing you to Minisforum, that's why, and you should answer the phone. Yeah, 2Jeff, 2 computing, yes.
Oh god.
But no, Minisforum is coming out with a 10-core ARM mini workstation that looks super impressive. And they asked me if I wanted to take a look at it, and I went, I'll probably take a look at it, but you know who would want to take a look at it? Jeff Geerling. So, expect an email soon. You want to talk to Minisforum? If you don't get anything from me by like Tuesday, ping me and remind me to send an introduction. I said the same thing to my Minisforum rep of like, we should hook everyone up because that'd be great. I have an MSO1, was going to hack it to do just that. That's cool. Yeah. But no, they want to talk to you too. So, yeah, ping me. I'll have my people call your people. We'll do lunch. How you doing there, bud?
It's 9 a.m.
That's fair. Well, I'm gonna open the next beer then because it's also 10:10 in the morning.
Yeah. Okay, it's 10 a.m. Go for it. You don't let me slow you down.
Yeah. So again, this is from Flow Brewing. This is their Sunset Double Red IPA, clocking in again at 8.5%. Sir Bobbles sends over $1.99. Thank you so much. Much appreciated. Did you find Linus, and where is your gold 5090? I've ran into Linus a couple of times.
Yeah.
Linus is one of the busiest people I know. I mean, even though he's not the CEO anymore, he is still in charge of like everything that happens, especially remotely. I did run into Taryn, their new CEO, momentarily at the Corsair party the other night. But didn't say hi, didn't end up talking to him, just like, oh, hey, he's here, cool. But no, whenever you run into Linus, unless it's like at dinner, the dude is going. The dude has a motor, the dude's on a mission. And I did have lunch with Luke last night, and in fact, Luke and I are meeting up again tonight. Luke, myself, Ian Cuttress, and Wendell are filming a video tonight.
Dr. Ian Cuttress.
Dr. Ian Cuttress. Yeah.
Show some respect.
Yeah, are filming a video tonight, so that should be fun. But and where's my gold 5090? I would love a gold 5090. I don't have. I do have two Volta graphics cards. They're the Tesla V100s, but man, I want myself a Titan RTX and a Titan V. Like, those are two cards that I wanted from the moment I saw them, and I just haven't gotten yet. So eventually I will track some of those cards down. Kind of like the Radeon 7. I didn't get sampled on the Radeon 7, and that to me is one of the most beautiful cards that's ever been made. I love the brushed aluminum finish and the little red R in the corner and the embossing that's done on the Radeon logo. Like, it's just such a good looking card. And it was the first 7nm card, and I think that kind of speaks volumes to it. The Titan V is the last non-RTX card outside of the 1600 series that NVIDIA ever made. So I think that's also kind of, it's the pinnacle of non-RTX graphics, and it's gold, and it's beautiful, and I want one. I'd settle for a gold 3050. Make it a single slot, and yes, I would love a gold 3050. Dr. Mega Transfers Ian Cuttress. Yeah. Oh, that is good. Oh, it was one of the 50th anniversary Radeon 7. Yeah, the blue one. There were a couple different anniversary cards. There was also the RX 5700 XT Lisa Sue edition that I kind of wanted. That would have been really fun to have. Zeus says, so finally I can make Jeff jealous with my Jensen Huang signed Titan V. You actually came up in conversation last night, Zeus, because we were talking about how Jensen signs just about everything. And I said, yeah, actually a friend of mine has a signed Titan V from Jensen from the CES LAN. So yeah, Luke is now aware of your signed Titan V. And I guess Luke was at the LAN, and he goes, I was at the LAN for 95% of the time. And I got up to go to the bathroom and get a snack, and that's when Jensen walked through, and I missed him. Yeah, the Titan RTX was so good looking in person when I had one. Yeah. So the Titan V is kind of like a brushed gold. It's a I don't want to call it dull, but it's brushed. It's a brushed finish.
Yeah, yeah.
The Titan RTX, which was the Turing version, which was the ray traced card, that was a polished gold.
Gotcha.
And that's beautiful too. Like a Titan RTX would absolutely tickle my fancy in so many ways, but the Titan V is one of my favorite looking cards of all time. Picking up some stuff in Taipei to bypass the tariffs craft? Probably not. We did hit up an electronics market the first day. In fact, the same market that Linus did the insane custom $5,000 water cooling PC vid at. We walked through that whole building top to bottom.
Yeah, that was a really cool place.
That was a lot of fun. Literally every piece of tech from the last 40 years exists within that building for sale. Except, what was the system that...
Oh yeah, what was
It wasn't
that?
the Indigo, it was something else.
No. Oh, I'm gonna kick myself. I was just thinking about this morning.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There was a vintage console, a very rare vintage console, that was not case yellowed at all, and I'm kicking myself right now for
PC.
PC Engine?
No. I don't know.
It was not. God dang it, Jordan! If you're watching,
yeah, please help us out.
Yeah, which one was that? God, I'm kicking myself right now because I cannot remember. It's not even on the tip of my tongue. But it should be.
But anyway, it was like a rare console, and it was one of those, we're looking at everything, and everything had a price on it, and there wasn't any price on that thing. I was like, well, go ask the owner, you know.
And he goes, how much for that? And he goes, oh, that not for sale.
Yeah.
And we started walking away, and I'm like, are you sure? And he goes, yeah, okay, cool.
Yeah. They're like, say a number. And he was like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, Jordan was literally open pocketbook going like, how much?
Yeah. Yeah, it's an easy place to get lost for a long time if you really wanted to.
I still could have spent double the amount of time we spent in there, like, easily. Oh, you little... so WL Paul in my Discord just sent a picture over of the RX 5700 XT Lisa Sue edition. He goes, oh, one of these? Yes, one of those. That's also a really cool freaking card. I have a number of cards that I just enjoy collecting. Yeah. Years ago, an eBay seller came out and had essentially new in box or new out of box GTX 690s. And so I bought 3 of them because they were $75 each. I ended up putting 2 of them in SLI into an X58 rig to experience the joy and pain of quad SLI in a system that I always wanted a 690 in but couldn't afford it. And God, that was a horrible experience, but I'm so glad I did it. I ended up selling 2 of those cards a couple years later, but I still have one of them. But on my channel, in one of my multi-gamer videos, my cloud gaming series, there is a GTX 690 peel from 2021 where I peeled the plastic off of it. So that is one of my favorite cards. You know, it's one of the last dual GPU cards that existed outside of enterprise space. I've also got a Tesla M60, which is a dual GPU card. I've got a Grid 540 as well as a Grid M40, which are quad GPU cards. Those are really fun. Yeah, lots and lots of Okay, we'll show off. God, you people are just tormenting me at this point. All right, we'll show these off. All right, so first off, this is Zeus's signed. Zoom in at all? Nope. Oh, there we go. Signed Titan V from Jensen Huang. So that's a cool card.
I can't believe Jensen would ruin that card.
Yeah, exactly. And then we've got... Hold on. And then we've got WL Paul with the Lisa Su edition, RX 5700 XT. This was a 25th anniversary card for Radeon Graphics. I do have a really fun card at home. I have a PCI card that is NVIDIA's first ever manufactured GPU with the NV1, and it's a dual GPU card. I don't remember the name of it, but you can install it. It has Windows 98 drivers, and it is NVIDIA's first ever 3D rendering card.
Wow.
Yeah, it very pre-GeForce, because they came out with the NV2, and then finally the GeForce, and then the GeForce 2, and then they kind of expanded from there. But yeah, this is like 2 generations before GeForce was a name. I have their original NVIDIA GPU die, and I have 2 of them on the same card. It's a freaking cool card. What about the Titan XP Star Wars editions? I love those cards. I would love to have those. I would love to have both of them just set up in my office on a light box. Like, yes. I know a number of people personally who have them. One guy got one on trade on a stupid deal, and I was so mad. My friend Polly from Modders Inc. Got one when I was doing some work with them, and it's like, you bastard. Zeus says I didn't check the background. He also has the 50th anniversary edition. Yeah, I think I saw that as well. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's also the 50th anniversary AMD Radeon right there in the back. That's the Vega 64 anniversary edition, 16 gigabyte edition, and the Radeon 7, and the Lisa Su edition. God, Zeus, I hate you. Someone ban Zeus. I'm done.
I don't hate you, Zeus.
Oh gosh. Look, guys, I saw the blue Vega, and I went, okay, like, yeah. I didn't see the Lisa Su and the. You suck. What an epic shot! I'm going over like my top 8 cards, and he posts 6 of them in the same freaking picture. You bastard.
You just gotta be Zeus.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was good. I hate you. Oh, what else do we have? So I can stop being jealous of everyone else's graphics cards.
Do we want to hit the NVIDIA news? I mean...
Yeah, that's actually what I was leaning towards next. So this is a little bit of data center news. NVIDIA is reportedly postponing SoCAMM rollout. So SoCAMM was the modular and replaceable memory that NVIDIA was planning on using for their GB300s on their Grace CPUs. So SoCAMM is actually like a co-project. I believe Dell was the founding member, and then Samsung jumped on board, and I believe SK Hynix is now on board. And NVIDIA was going to adopt this standard and start using it on their Grace Blackwell Superchips. And what it is essentially LPDDR5X, but on a user replaceable module. And so they look kind of like this. They have a ZIF interface on the a zero interface or zero insertion force pin set on the rear of them, and then 3 screws to hold them in place. And they were planning on using them on their BG300 Grace Hopper Superchips. And so this is what that looks like. So here you've got 2 Grace, or not Grace Hopper, but Grace Blackwell GB300. You've got 2 Grace CPUs. Those are ARM, NVIDIA's ARM CPUs, and then 4 B300 GPUs. Each of these GPUs has 288 gigabytes of HBM3E memory. But then right up here on either side of the Grace CPUs was supposed to be a bank of SoCAMM. which means your Grace CPUs could have either 128 gig, 256 gig, or 512 gig, depending on the pair of modules that you inserted. It was a easy and modular way of adding LPDDR5X to a bus that was fast enough to communicate with the CPU at extremely high frequencies. Think like 8800 megatransfers. However, NVIDIA has ran into, reportedly, signaling, binning, and reliability issues in their rollout of SoCAMM on the GB300s. And so they are going to be rolling back that rollout and postponing that until Rubin, until they can figure out why they're having reliability issues. So they were having some overheating issues with some early SoCAMM modules. That could probably be fixed with a minimal amount of heatsink addition to it. But they were also having electrical signaling issues, speed issues, reliability issues, all of which you don't want cropping up in a, multi tens of $1,000 server platform. Like each of these boards is like $120,000. They're absolutely insane. And that's just for the dual super chip carrier, let alone the 4-way or the 8-way that some systems are using. So right now, there's been like no completely official announcement, and most of the literature I'm seeing around GB300 is still listing the LPDDR5X memory capacity as up to 512 gig per Grace CPU. That literature may change to simply 512 gig if this is indeed confirmed. But I'm seeing this being reported from multiple sources over the last couple of days, so I'm tending to lean in the direction of this is probably pretty official. What that means moving forward, probably not a lot. I don't think a lot of customers were going to buy GB300s with only 128 gigs of RAM on each Grace CPU. I think they were probably all going to go 512, but we are missing the modularity and potentially the reduced cost of doing SoCAMM rather than direct soldering. Because now NVIDIA has to do all the engineering on chip or on PCB of their LPDDR5X. Up until GTC, there were reports of multiple variants of the GB300 Superchip in existence, both including DDR5X soldered as well as SoCAMM memory. And it looks like SoCAMM's going to be delayed. So hopefully it is a product that does eventually reach fruition. We've been complaining for so long on devices like this of non-user expandable memory and things like that, and the justification from companies like AMD and Intel and Apple and Samsung and Snapdragon and so on and so forth has been, well, the signaling requirements for LPDDR5X is as such that it doesn't work on a SODIMM module. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, if you want DDR speeds of 6,000, you could probably go SODIMM. But much beyond that, you need closer electrical signaling and better electrical signaling between your memory and your CPU. And so if you want to go 7,200, 7,400, 8,000, 8,800, you need direct soldered memory. Well, SoCAMM was supposed to solve that. But apparently there's still some reliability issues to get through. So hopefully we do eventually see the standard, and hopefully laptop manufacturers start adopting it more and more. And hopefully NVIDIA adopts it on their Grace Rubin APUs as well. William says, out of curiosity, how many of us are doing searches for Titan RTX on eBay right now? There's 165 people watching. I would put the over-under at 30. Because, look, I'm a collector. I love collecting things. And I seem to attract an audience that also likes collecting things. So, yeah, Jonathan says there have been desktop motherboards with SoCAMM as well. Yeah, ASUS and Gigabyte both experimented with that at CES and kind of showed off some concept boards of SoCAMM on a desktop slot. And I would certainly welcome that as well, because desktop suffers from the same kind of signaling limitations as laptops do. We just don't think about it as much. But yeah, no, getting DDR5 stable at like 72 or 7400 MTS is still quite a feat and requires a lot of engineering. And I've talked to people in the memory industry who, to get that kind of stable frequency, you literally have to bin each individual NAND chip as it goes on to your stick, your DIMM of DDR5. Versus SoCAMM, if you can get your electrical signaling closer, you can put a couple of modules on there and be golden. So, like I said, hopefully it's a standard that doesn't go away.
$20 super chat.
$20 super chat. Zeus, thank you so much. Much appreciated, my friend.
I thought you were banned.
Yeah. Yeah. Ban this son. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's not a Titan RTX or a signed Titan V, but I'll take your $20. I can't wait to get M.2 CXL memory modules and connect them over a single PCI Express X16 with bifurcation, or CXL via Oculink. Come on, NVIDIA, there's plenty of cursed ways to get your connections with minimal fire risk. Some of us have different criteria for what constitutes minimal fire risk, Zeus. Terrapup says, I collect small board computers. So do I. Actually, that's another fascination that I have. It doesn't really make it to video, but I do love SBCs. I love miniaturized computing. It's always been a fascination of mine. We talked a couple of weeks ago about PDAs that I had and old cell phones and things like that. But also going back to the early days of Raspberry Pi. I was a very early adopter with Raspberry Pi, and in fact, I have still one of the red PCB Chinese manufactured 256 megabyte original Pi Model Bs because I bought so early. They only manufactured in China for their first 2 runs, and those are red PCBs with 256 megs. They later moved to the UK for manufacturing. And did we die? Did our stream die?
No, where do you see that?
I'm buffering up here.
Oh.
Hopefully we're still good. I'm going to refresh.
It says we have excellent connection.
Yeah. Weird. Hopefully we're still good. But anyway, after 2 runs of that PCB, see, now it's not wanting to refresh. Come on, YouTube. You're worrying me.
Well, I mean, I could look and see.
Yeah, can you check?
Yeah, I got it up right here. Let's get an F in chat, people.
Yep.
And it looks...
Go end.
I'm trying... Yeah, see?
Okay.
Seems fine.
Okay, yeah, you're picking it up. Okay.
Boom.
For some reason, my download is suffering, but it looks like we're still live. Okay, that is freaking weird. I don't know what's going on. I'm gonna...
You're fine.
Is YouTube's page just having an issue?
I never let the YouTube video stay live anyways. I always pause it. I always try to pick the sexiest picture of us.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I pause it so that
okay.
that way I can keep up with chat.
Okay.
And then I can get a little inspiration on the sexy pose if I need.
No F's in chat. OBS just being OBS. No, it was the web page. It was my studio web page that literally just froze. And in fact, that tab still doesn't want to reload. Finally got it back up. So, and it loaded and it's just fine. And
yeah, it just doesn't want to run the video.
Yeah, no, it wasn't OBS. It was the website. It was YouTube's studio page that was worrying me. Okay, cool.
Anyways.
Yeah. What were we talking about?
Things.
I don't remember. Yeah. I don't know. I was simply drinking this delicious red double IPA. This is fantastic.
It's so tasty. I love myself a red double IPA. Is that some sunset in there, boy?
Big old mostly IPA.
How dare you?
Get your fat ass back here. If you're gonna do Herbert, do it right.
I wasn't trying to do Herbert. I was just trying to do creepy, perverted Rett voice.
Right? Yeah. No.
My own. I'm not I don't steal people's voices.
You think you're so tough because you're original.
I can do Herbert the pervert just fine.
Small board computers, SBCs. Yes.
Yeah, there you go. Even Jeff Geerling loves them.
Yeah, after the first 2 runs in China for Raspberry Pi, they moved production to the UK. They changed the PCB color to green to differentiate which ones were Chinese and which one was UK manufactured, and they also upped it to 512 megabytes. And that became the standard for the Pi Model B after like 4 months was all. But yeah, I still have a 256 megabyte red PCB Pi that I bought and used the absolute crap out of. Those who've been watching the channel for a long time know for 20-something years, I've also been a manager at a haunted house, an attraction in our local area, family-run business, and I manage the haunt and the attraction and everything else. Heck of a lot of fun. But back in those days, I also did live photos that we would sell you outside, Disneyland style. So you'd walk through the haunted house, you'd get scared in this one point, we'd take your picture, and then we'd sell you a print of that outside. That did very, very well for us for a number of years. But the way we did that originally was on iMacs, was on G3 iMacs, to date myself slightly, using Canon's EOS Connect software, and having someone sit there and press the space bar every time they needed to take a picture. And then the iMac was networked to a NAS out in the main section, and then the computers would pull up the picture. Later on, I wanted to automate the system, and so we built a microcontroller based on the scare that was happening. And the microcontroller would trigger the camera to go off. There was a Raspberry Pi connected to the camera with an application that would interface with the live EOS USB connection from the camera to download the image and then directly send it to the NAS. And so that's actually what I used my original Raspberry Pis for, was take studio style photos out to a NAS box, and had to piece all the software together and make all that work. And that was a lot of fun. Got a prowl Reddit. Someone just sold 2 of the blue. Ooh, yes. I don't have a blue Raspberry Pi. I do have a number of the chip single board computers, the SBCs, both the Kickstarter versions and then the retail versions before they dried up, the pocket chips. I have 6 of those, maybe. I have Pi Model A's, the Wi-Fi-less, Ethernet-less, single USB, single HDMI Model A's. I use those a lot for digital signage. I've got a number of Model 2s, or Raspberry Pi 2s. I've got a small 4-way cluster of Raspberry Pi 3s in a little tiny rack mount custom acrylic case. That was kind of fun to build. Yeah, I've had fun with SBCs over the years. Yeah, I should probably buy one of the blue pies. Were those Brazil? Argentina? Brazil? Something like that? Some South American country, I think, was manufacturing those. Let's see. What else? What other news do we have? Silverstone. I love that this joke has gone this far. I just state that. Silverstone, for April Fool's last year, introduced a retro desktop, which was a flat, horizontal desktop system that was an ATX standard that you could run as a desktop. The original intent of the word, which was put on top of your desk and then your monitor goes on top of your desktop. And it's a beige box with a couple 5 1/4 bays and a 3.5 inch front bay and things like that. And then people went, "Oh my God, that's the coolest thing ever. You have to make that." And so they did.
Nice.
And it's great. This one, I need this one. I need this case. Silverstone at Computex has introduced the second in their retro series, which is a full AT style tower, complete with an LCD on the front and a key lock and a turbo button. Oh, hell yes. I need this case. Supports 360 millimeter AIOs, has a turbo button and a built-in fan controller. Has triple 5 1/4 drive bays if you're so inclined to use some of the old drive bays that you've got kicking around. But yeah, this is the FLP02.
Love it.
I have to have this. Silverstone, if you're watching, I have to have this.
We walked by their booth a couple times, but
yeah,
I never felt super compelled to like go explore. I kind of regret missing this.
Yeah,
somebody had talked about it the other day. But...
No, I knew they were coming out with it. But yeah, I didn't stop by. If we get a chance to double back over on Friday, we might have to do that. But no, it's got a big old thunk power button. It's got a lock key on it. It's got a turbo and a reset button.
Hell yeah.
And then this display here used to show your CPU frequency back when CPU frequency was only 2 digits.
2 digits, yeah.
Now I believe this can be programmed to show CPU temperature, which is freaking cool. Because that should also only be 2 digits.
Speak for yourself.
Yeah.
I love running in threes. You know?
Well, you're an overachiever.
Yeah. Go big or go home.
He's not satisfied till it's 105. $220. This is an instant buy for any retro computing fan. Like, seriously. This is so funny. So I haven't been the CTO at my last company for over 5 years now.
Oh no. Did
I
you just get like 2FA for that?
Not 2FA, but Spectrum Business Service Alerts. I am still the primary. I have called them about this so many times, dude. I haven't serviced that, and this is a site that even cut our service, our management service, 2 years prior to me resigning, and going my own direction. So like since 2018, it's been 7 years.
Wow. For
this organization. And I still get Spectrum Business Alerts of like 15-minute interruptions to their service because they had 4.9 guarantees. And so anytime that's interrupted, I get guaranteed I will get a text message about it. So I get 3 or 4 of those a year, and then I'll occasionally get called and, hey, how's the service out there? And are you happy? It's like, I haven't been the contact for legit 7 years. Call Dan. Dan's still there.
Not only that, I like it. It's like, what, 7 o'clock almost there? Like,
yeah. Yeah, it's 7:45 p.m.
I mean, I get, obviously you got to get text no matter what if your service is being disrupted. But
yeah, it's 7:45 p.m. on the West Coast, and yeah.
Oh, wow.
Silverstone, I want this case. I must have this case. Oh, Linus built in this case today. That is super cool.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
Of course he did.
Yeah. Oh, the nightmares. See that case? Where's my Cyrix CPU? Oh my gosh, that would be so much fun. I still have a Cyrix 166 in my CPU collection, although I don't have a socket 7 board to run it in anymore. At default, that shows fan percentage, and the turbo button sets that to max. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I think they should have an interface, a USB controller interface, where it would read off of hardware info, and you could define your CPU temp core max in hardware info and send out to that. That would be cool. What would I build in that case? Ooh, that's a great question. I love the idea of sleeper builds. I love like non-assuming looking things that go really fast. Like that's also a personal fascination of mine. Part of me would also love to build like a retro rocket again. For those who watched a couple of my retro rocket videos, build a super fast emulation / retro PC, but I don't know what exactly I would put in there. We could go full ATX standard, and I've got a couple. Like I've got a Pentium 4 and an MX 440 that I think would be dying for that, but that's also not the right era. That's 15 years removed from that era, because that era is like 386. And Pentium 4 was, that's 1992 versus 2004. So yeah, I don't know what I would build in there. I just know that I want it. Maybe build a dedicated PCEM or x86 box emulation machine, where it's built to emulate like Voodoo 2 and Pentium 3 kind of performance through PCEM emulation. That might be a fun little build.
See, for me, I don't even think it has to be like thematically coherent. Like, I just think the case is cool.
Oh, you're totally correct.
Like, just get the case and show it off and put your PC in there and have fun.
Yeah, like, and that's what I kind of meant by like sleeper build. Like, retro 80s style PC, but with like an RTX 5080 and it'd be fun, a 9800 X3D or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Like absolutely, that would be a fun build. But also I kind of like, thinking about maybe doing a retro build or a retro inspired build where it's designed to run retro software. I did, was this last year sometime? Early last year? Aya Neo came out with their classic, it looked like a Mac classic, but it was a mini desktop with like a Ryzen 5800H or 5800U. And I installed a retro emulation pack for DOS and Windows gaming on that. And I think something similar would be fun, but like I said, going more PCEM, so you could do Voodoo 2 and Pentium 3 hardware level emulation of those systems. I've been playing around more and more with that, and I might eventually do a video of like a Windows 98 SE full emulated Voodoo 2 build. I think that'd be a lot of fun. And maybe that's the case to build that in. Even though it's not period correct, but it's retro.
Right.
So, a really big DOS box. The problem with DOS box is you don't need that much performance anymore to do DOS box. You can do basically anything you want on DOS box with an N100 Intel CPU. 4-core, 4-thread, 1.8 gigahertz, 5 watts. Like, DOS box runs on anything at full speed. And so I don't really need like a full ATX desktop to do 8086, 286, 386 level emulation anymore. Full SteamOS is kind of great on any on AMD Tiny hardware, yes. Yeah, I've done a couple of videos on Bazite. And hopefully SteamOS is finally going to release their much anticipated generic installer of SteamOS, so we can run any hardware rather than just Steam specific hardware. Yeah, hopefully that's coming before too long, especially given the rumors we talked about last week of Steam introducing a hardware compatibility check for SteamOS at a base level, at an OS level, not just a games level. DOSBox server, multiple VMs. I've thought about that.
That was my thought when we were talking about that at first.
What I would love to do, actually, is a retro Windows XP or 98 virtual machine that would stream in web or over Moonlight or something similar. The problem is there's no software that will capture the frame buffer that is compatible with a good enough client to run games remotely via VM. There is Clear Window, Clear View. What is that? Looking Glass. That does frame buffer capture, but unfortunately that's still very limited in its output as far as latency goes. Like, it is decidedly behind Moonlight / Sunshine, GeForce Now, open implementation, and Parsec. If we could get a frame buffer capture that would stream to a web browser or a dedicated client from a VM, from a system that could run Windows 98 SE with Voodoo 2 emulation or a Windows 9 XP rig or something like that, I would be all over that. I've thought about doing like a multi-headed retro gaming cloud server at some point, but running the software isn't the issue. It's how do you display it on a client in a way that makes sense, and that's the part of the equation that hasn't been solved. Veronica's here. Hello, Veronica.
Woo!
DocsBoss BBS. I have thought a couple of times about doing a craft computing BBS server, a la like a Discord integration kind of thing, where if you're a member of the Discord, we will have an authenticator that checks your Discord for membership within craft computing and grants you access onto a BBS server. I have absolutely thought of that. There's also someone in the community who's been working on getting us a craft computing AIM server, which is also ICQ compatible. So there might be some news on that here in the near future. Where's Paul? You'll see Paul later tonight. In fact, at 3 p.m. Taipei time or midnight Pacific, I will be live streaming with Adam Patrick Murray of PC World, as well as Paul of Paul's Hardware and Nick of Gear Seekers. I will be on their podcast in about another 4-ish hours. So if you want to stay up late in the US or get up very early, feel free to do so. I will be on camera here again in about 4 hours and 15 minutes. So. Gaseous, Emulator GS, and DOSBox all in browser. I have looked at web-based DOS emulation, and yeah, maybe Emulator JS needs another look, because that I've also been dying to find more, not even practical, but just fun home lab projects that someone could run with extra compute power that they have, and running some kind of like retro emulation server that you can pull up your emulators on your phone and play on the go by pulling a web page. I know Emulator JS is kind of built around that, but I would love to find like a one-click self-hosted installer for that kind of system. I think that would absolutely sell or bring a lot more value to things like that. Oh, let's see. What else do we have? Gaseous has user authentication too. That's kind of cool. Yeah. Cool. Rev shouting out the after party. Every night following the live streams, we gather over on the Discord live chat, and you can live chat myself. Sometimes the hosts also join, but join the community and ask me questions. You know, let's dive a little bit deeper and get some more personal answers that I didn't give on the show necessarily. The way you do that is get onto the Patreon. I use the Patreon essentially as a paywall for the Discord. It keeps the trolls at bay, but more or less, it gives you $1. It gives me $1 every single month and gets you access to the Discord. And I'm on the Discord every single day. You can chat me, you can at me. Both of those are perfectly acceptable. I'm happy to respond to questions. We also have an awesome community and a number of different expertise in that Discord. Whether it's asking about craft beer, asking brewing questions, asking hardware questions, both retro and modern. We've got channels for car talk. We've got channels for camera talk. We've got one page just for meme posting. We have a political page that has been up since the pandemic started. That requires very little moderation because the understanding is everyone comes there with good faith of understanding that everyone else is a person and we may have political differences, but we're all still people trying to work through our way through things. And we can have political discussions and still be civil about it. And in fact, we still have that chat room up, and it's one of our least moderated pages because I attract good people, and people in my community aren't dicks, because that's rule number 1 is don't be a dick. So there's Star Trek, yes. What's funny is we don't even have a dedicated Star Trek room. It's just kind of like all-encompassing.
Yeah.
And in fact, the Discord is Star Trek themed. All the rooms are Star Trek inspired. Yeah, join the Discord, join the Patreon, get access to it. Patreon helps me keep the lights on in the studio, helps pay the bills. Patreon for a very long time has been one of the primary income sources for the channel, so it absolutely supports me and supports the mission of craft computing. So get on it. Anything else? Anything else we didn't cover?
I mean, there's a lot we didn't cover.
There's a lot we didn't cover.
How can you cover it all, you know?
We were going to get to the RTX 5060 review debacle. I think we will definitely talk about that on PC World, and I think some conversations with other review outlets, that is Paul and Gear Seekers and PC World and Craft Computing, all in the same room talking about our thoughts and feelings on NVIDIA controlling the narrative around reviews. I think that's a much better conversation than me just blowing off steam here. So if you're looking forward to that conversation, I guarantee we'll be talking about that tonight. Go over to PC World or the Full Nerd. Full Nerd has their own YouTube page, and that's where the podcast streams from. So we will be on the Full Nerd here at about 3 p.m. Taipei time or midnight Thursday. That is in 4 hours from now, West Coast time, Pacific.
Woo!
Woohoo! And that's 3 in the afternoon, so Rett can just drink in the background. And,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I'll finally be past coffee time.
Yeah. Did you want to try the red?
I'll take a little sip. Give me a little sip.
Yeah.
Let's get it on camera here.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I want to know your thoughts on the red. I'll finish it off, but
I already mentioned it, but the color is gorgeous.
Oh, it is a good looking beer. It is a dark amber, a little bit of a yellow tint on the head.
Yeah, it's good. There's something about like every Taiwanese beer so far where the flavor profile is always a little bit different than what you expect.
Yeah.
It's like we were describing like a juice bomb here, but then you get into it and it's like you can tell there's juice, you can tell there's a lot of citrus, but then you get that bitterness.
But it hits a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then same with this, like you're expecting one thing and
yeah,
it kind of washes over your senses a little bit differently.
Yeah. Like I said, this beer definitely inspired by Dawn of the Red from Ninkasi, a very local favorite of ours. And in fact, I was shocked. I was talking to Joe, the owner of Flow Brewery here, and he goes, "Yeah, we have a double red IPA." And I went, "Have you heard of Ninkasi?" He goes, "Oh yeah, Dawn of the Red was like," and I went, "Dude, you get it. I love you already." But the reason Dawn of the Red is so good is it's a Northwest IPA fusion with a traditional caramely malty red ale. And this has some of the flavors turned up and some of the flavors turned down. It's a little bit different blend. It's a little bit hotter mix. This is 8.5%. Yeah. Whereas Dawn of the Red, I think, is a 7.0 or maybe a 6.5. But the caramel on this one feels turned up just a little bit for me.
Yeah, I can see that. Crypto guy. Beer equals gross.
Cool.
All right. Well, hey.
That's fine.
Good input.
Yeah. Everyone has their own tastes. So I've said this many times. I'm actually a cocktail guy at heart. Give me a good whiskey sour. Give me a good Sazerac. Give me a good Bramble. I love cocktails more than anything else, and but I also appreciate artisan sodas and sparkling waters and things like that. Juices. Everyone has their own taste, and that's okay. You're no less or more of a man because you appreciate one thing or another. So, cheers to you and whatever you enjoy drinking. I hope you enjoy something. Anything. I don't even care, food or drink. I hope you enjoy something.
We do give shout outs to people who tell us what they're drinking in the chat, and it doesn't have to be beer.
Yeah, there were a couple water shout outs. There were a couple juice shout outs today. Cheers to you. All right. Any meme products, or is that more CES? The one that would qualify, I actually posted a short about 2 hours ago. ID Cooling, the heatsink manufacturer, ID Cooling. They do coolers and fans and cases. They came out with what looks like a meme at first glance, but also adds a whole bunch of functionality that I am super excited for. They brought out a docking station for the M4 Mac Mini that looks like a Macintosh SE30.
Yeah.
And what it is it's a Mac Classic shell that sits on top of the Mac Mini, fits it perfectly. Still allows you to access the two front USB ports, the USB-Cs. It takes one USB-C from the rear of the Mac Mini and the HDMI cable if you want video. But it has a 5-inch screen on front of it, 5-inch 1080p display on the front of this tiny little docking station. It adds a USB-A and a USB-C and an audio jack to the rear of the Mac Classic. And then on the front, you get two USB-As, an additional Type-C, plus a card reader integrated. And it's $99. And I have spent like $60 on add-ons to my Mac Mini because, well, I needed a USB-A hub, and I needed a card reader, and I needed this, and I didn't get the 10 gig, so I bought a 2.5 gig adapter, and I plugged that in and whatnot. And I'm like, this is such a cool, cute, functional, good-looking, practical, but also meme device. And I absolutely love it. It's $99. And if they weren't going to be sending me one, I would have already pre-ordered one. But the owner of ID Cooling recognized me, came over, shook my hand. Super nice guy. That was a lot of fun. But they were actually wanting to send me away with the demo unit that was there on the counter. They had 2 of them on the counter, and they were going to send me away with one of them. And I went, my bag's already kind of full. How about I give you my card? You just mail me a sample. And they went, that works. That's excellent. I went, okay, cool. And so I'll probably have a sample on my desk when I get home. And I will absolutely be showing that off on the channel because it's $100 and it's one of the most functional things that's also cute that you can get for your Mac Mini M4. And I am all about that. And I happen to have just gotten an M4 Mac Mini as well. So perfect timing. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? Go to the order before we close.
I wish I knew. We got a few more days left in Taipei.
Yep.
It's a beautiful city. And,
gorgeous Thursday morning.
It really is. Who knows if we'll make it out to the show, but we got a lot more stuff to do in Taipei before we pack it out. And so, I don't know. Keep your eye on the social media, Craft Computing. Rett is awesome. Check out what we're doing and when we're doing it. And, gosh, I don't know. Watch these other podcasts.
Yeah. Check me out on The Full Nerd later tonight, midnight Pacific time, 3 p.m. Taipei time. That's going to be with Paul from Paul's Hardware, Nick from Gear Seekers, and of course, the one and only Adam Patrick Murray.
And then later
on that night, we won't be live streaming this, but we are doing some content with Dr. Ian Cuttress, Sir Wendell of Level 1 Techs, and Luke Leffer from LTT. So that should be a hell of a lot of fun as well. And that's not even a tech related one. That's just going to be a fun video. So Luke, me, and Wendell have only been briefed that Ian has a very evil and very fun idea and needed some people who were very quick-witted. And we're going to get together and we're going to shoot some really fun stuff. That's all we've been briefed on. We're going to do it here in my hotel room. And that's all I know. So that'll be fun. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching episode 383 of Talking Heads live from Taipei. Join us every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time for the latest in beer and tech news right here on YouTube. Good Lord. Never made that mistake before. Yahoo! Hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe to Craft Computing if you haven't done so already. Follow us up on social media at Craft Computing on Bluesky, at Rett is Awesome on Bluesky. Other than that, anything else?
I don't know.
Cool.
I feel like there's so much more.
Yeah, there's so much more we didn't talk about. But for all that, tune into The Full Nerd later tonight.
Man.
Cool. And as always, we'll see you next week. As long as I'm not jet lagged to all hell. So, here's to you. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you later.